Hi there, everyone. Hi. I'm excited about being with you today on this beautiful Saturday and to share some stories with you about ministry because as I've been sharing all month, and I will be over the next couple months, is that this year is my 40th year celebration in ministry. And my husband and I have been in full-time ministry for 40 years since the end of May 1981. Okay. And so now it's 2021. So it's 40 years. And it's also my 70th year of life in June. So I'm excited about that too. And looking forward to the next 10 years. But in this time, we've been reminiscing and we've been going through photos and thinking back on stories. And so I want to share some precious stories with you over the next couple months. We're having a big celebration in June, and I'm looking forward to that. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But I want to share some story with you. And I also want to share some lessons that I've learned in being in ministry, things that the Holy Spirit has taught me during this time, because I think it might be valuable for you as well. So push the share button and have people join you in this and watch it. I think that they'll enjoy it. But I remember it was back in 1985. I had this urge in me to take a team from our local church down into Mexico. And so our pastor said, absolutely, do it. So we jumped into a vehicle and away we went with a bunch of youth from our church, and our pastor went with us as well. And we actually just went raw. I hardly even knew anyone in the area. We had one precious woman that we had connected with earlier, and her name was Sister Stamps, and she lived in the USA just across the border from Tijuana. And she used to go in and feed the poor every single day. She would go in with all kinds of food, and she'd go and do church services and preach the gospel to the people, get them filled with the Holy Spirit. And she was an amazing lady, African-American, full of the love of God, full of his joy. And so we would go and serve with her. But in 1985, we took this team down from our church and we went into Tijuana. And that year, I just felt, we've got to just go back here. We've got to establish a center right in Tijuana. We need to move a team right into Tijuana. And so I went home from that trip, and the burden just kept growing and growing and growing. And so I went before my leaders and I said, you know, the Lord has shown me that I need to start a base in Tijuana, Mexico. And they said, oh, and do what? And I said, I see it as an outreach center where we could have teams of people coming in from all over and serving the poor. I said, they're so poor and they're so hungry for Jesus, and they need so much help, and we can do it. And so they were kind of like, okay. And so how are you going to do this? Who are you going to take down to help you? And I said, I don't know, but God will give me the people. Once I pray into it, God will give me the people. And they said, well, how are you going to fund it? And I said, I don't know. I don't really have any money right now for it, but I know God will supply. And they said, and where's it going to be? Do you have property there? And I said, no, but I believe God will supply. If you give me the go ahead, I believe that God will be with me as I go and do it. And so they looked a little bit concerned, actually, because obviously it didn't make any sense in the natural. I had no money, no people, no place to go. It didn't make any sense, but they knew me well enough to know that because they'd seen me do other outreaches and other projects, they said, if you really feel this is God speaking to you, we're going to give you 6 months. Just go for 6 months. And if it's successful, then you can stay and do more. And if not, you're coming home. And you need to understand that we cannot give you any money. We cannot give you any help. We're unable to do that. And so I said, you got it, you know, and I was thrilled as could be. So I went into my prayer closet and I said, okay, God, I'm just going to pray in tongues and I'm expecting you to lead and to guide me. And so during my time of prayer over the next weeks, the Lord showed me the faces of some young people that I had met recently. And I called them. I said, hey, would you be interested in going on a faith adventure and starting an outreach center in Tijuana, Mexico to help the poor? And we can go preach the gospel and we can help meet their needs and we can really reach out to the poor. And I said, I don't have any money to give you. You're going to have to just believe God, but it'll be a faith adventure if you want to come. And each and every one of those young people said yes. And so that now I had my team. So I got them praying too. And then we needed money, right? We didn't have a cent. And so the Lord gave me a download, an idea to have an outreach where I would invite up to 12 people for our first one, because we needed to get used to the environment and everything, and charge them each $100 for their whole week. That would include their room and board for that week. And so 12 people signed up for that. So now I had $1,200 to our name. We had $1,200, and away we were going to go down to Mexico to set up a base with that $1,200 and to host our first 12 people for the first week. Wow. When I look back now, it's just craziness, but God was in it. And we didn't have a vehicle. That was the other thing. And so we were praying into a vehicle. And then a man came to us and he said, you know, I've got this vehicle that I feel like I'm supposed to give to you. And it happened to be an 8-passenger van. And we had 8 people going down. And so I thought, this is amazing. My husband was able to fix it because there was a few broken pieces on it. So he fixed it and we were ready to go. And I told our team, bring 1 suitcase each only. And then we had 1 box of kitchen supplies and 1 box of office supplies. We got into that van and away we went down the I-5 from Vancouver area in Canada and drove straight down to Tijuana. We didn't even stop overnight, I don't believe. We just drove straight, changed drivers and got down there. But when we got there, you see, we didn't even have a place to stay. We just assumed God was going to get us one when we got down there. So when we got there, we had no place except this little apartment that a friend of ours let us stay in. And so we were there, all 8 of us. We had 1 room for the guys, 1 room for the girls. And we were just, you know, we were crammed, but I was excited to go out and find a place that we could have our outreach center. And because we were having a team come down in 1 month, we were having a team come down. So, the Lord said to me, I don't want you going out looking for a place. I want you to just pray. Stay here and pray and worship. And I thought, okay, but our time's running out. I only have a month to get everything ready. And he said, I know that. I want you to pray and worship. And so we stayed there and we prayed and worshiped by the hour. I mean, hour after hour after hour, and all the way through day and night. We just were praying and worshiping and fellowshipping with the Lord. And so then the next day I was ready to get up early and go out and look for the place. He said, no, I want you to stay and pray again. Well, now I'm getting a little bit antsy. And then he said, stay and pray again. And so, okay, 3 days in a row now, we are in prayer. And I'm thinking, but we don't have a place for everyone's going to come in less than a month now. And we don't have a place set up. We don't have anything yet. And that night, a few guys on our team went down to do their laundry at the laundromat. And they took their guitar with them and started singing in the laundromat. And a whole bunch of people came around and started worshiping the Lord with them. And so they were doing outreach in the laundromat. And they preached the gospel there and, you know, led some people to the Lord, I believe, if I remember correctly. And then this man approached them. And he said, so are you guys Christians? And they said, yes, we are. And he said, what are you doing here? And they said, well, we're here to start an outreach center to help the poor in Mexico, but we don't have a place. And we've got a whole team of people coming in less than a month, and we don't have a place. And he said, well, I'm a landlord and I have places for rent. And in fact, he said, in fact, I have one coming up this week. It's coming up. The family is leaving, and it might be able to suit you well, because we needed at least 3 bedrooms and a bathroom and a place to have a meeting and everything in it. And he said, well, this is an apartment. It's 3 bedrooms. I believe it would help you. It's got 1 bathroom and it's got a kitchen and a like an area where you could meet, like a large living room area. And he said, the only problem is because we found out that it wasn't easy to rent in Tijuana and that there was 18-month waiting list for the local people. And they would always give the housing to the local people before foreigners. Of course, that makes sense. So he said, I've got people on the waiting list. And he said, I've already told this couple that they can have the house. So I'm waiting to hear back from them. But if they take the house, I have to give it to them because they're on the list. But if they choose not to, then you can have it. So we went into prayer and said, oh God, give them a better place. He calls us back the next day and said, you know what? I just got a call from this couple, and he just got a call. His company is moving him to Guadalajara. And so they're going to be moving and they don't need the house, so you can have it. So that's how we got our first house. And what we did is we went out and bought some lumber at the lumber yard. And it was 2x4s and 4x8 sheets of plywood. And we built beds, bunk beds. So the bunk beds were 2 feet wide by 6 feet, no, 8 feet long, because we cut a 4x8 sheet of plywood in half. And then we stacked them up 3 high. So we had 3 bunk beds, one on top of another, with enough room at the bottom of the bed for a person's suitcase. And then we made another stack and joined it to the other. So it's actually 6 beds side, like two stacks side by side, just enough room to get into them. And that's what we filled for our 12 outreach people and also for our team members. And that's where we went. And we had 1 bathroom to share amongst us all. And the guys built tables out of the 2x4s and the plywood, tables and benches. And that's where we met. That's where we met. That's where we ate. That's where we met. That's where we prayed. We had everything in those, in that one apartment. And when we got there, we didn't, as I said, we didn't have a big budget. We had $1,200, but we wanted to minister to the poor. So I said to our team, I said, what I'd like to do is I'd like to give our clothes away. We can start. We don't have really much to give away, but we can start by giving our clothes away. So I said, I'd like to keep the clothes I have on me and one extra set to change into when I'm washing this one, and give everything else away. And so that's what we did. And we went into the colonias where the poor people were and went house to house and gave away clothing. And we also did it with our food. We only had a little bit of food. And I think we kept a loaf of bread and a bag of rice or something. And that was it. We gave everything away. So basically, we started our ministry by giving everything away. And one of the lessons that I want to share with you is that you can never outgive the Lord. Truly, in the measure you sow, that is what you reap. And so over the coming months, we just started to receive more and more and more. Money started coming in. People started donating to the outreach. We had clothing donated to us, so much so it would come down in truckloads and even a boatload of shoes one time. It just came down in droves. We had so many clothes to give away. We couldn't give them away fast enough. And the same with the food. We had truckloads of beans and rice and all kinds of different food supplies that we could give to the poor every single day. We were distributing to the poor. And we had so much, we couldn't give it away fast enough. We had storage units in San Diego. We gave things away to different ministries that we worked with in the area. We were able to build houses. We were able to build medical clinics and help with medical supplies. We went into the prisons. We went in amongst the poor. We helped plant churches with Sister Stamps and different ministries that we worked with. It was amazing. So I'm going to try and put a picture on here right now, share a picture with you. And this is of our work in Mexico. And you're going to see, first of all, if we can do this, I'm just here with my assistant right now. We don't have a media team here, so we're going to try this on our own. But we're going to show you a picture, maybe, of a little boy who lived in a truck in the colonia. Now, in this picture, you'll be able to see the actual colonia that we worked in. I see this is working. This is awesome. And you can see in that picture, it's just full of cardboard shacks and garbage and they'll collect whatever they can, they'll keep it for themselves, and then they'll live inside of those shacks, live inside of those shelters. And the little boy that you see there, he lived inside that truck. That was where he slept. That was his little house. They were so poor. And now, not every colonia was as in shambles and as in chaotic state as that one. Some of them were just little, like, cleaner pathways and things like that to little houses, but they were very, very small and totally made from pieces of cardboard that they picked up from throwaway boxes and things like that. And it wasn't uncommon to go into the colonias and see a little cardboard house, maybe, I don't know, maybe 8 feet by 6 feet would be a good size, and have like 12 people living in it, a family of 12. And the women would be outside cooking their tortillas on a fire. And they just live very, 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 very simple lives. And the fathers of the children oftentimes just went, they would father children, and then they would leave. So the mothers would have a lot of children to look after, very little money, if any. And they would go around the garbage looking for food to eat for their family. When they got some money, they would go out and get corn so they could make tortillas or whatever. And it was a really sad situation. So we would go in and not only give them food and clothing, but we would help clean up the mess, help them build houses for their families. And we also preached the gospel and led them to Jesus, and then went back in and taught them how to live a good life and how to believe God for provision, because a lot of them had Catholic mentality, which meant you're blessed, just stay poor. We said, no, that's not what God is asking you to do. He wants you to be blessed. He wants you to have food for your children. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to be successful. And so we were able to help them get jobs and be happy. And we go in and minister to the children. We went into the jails, the prisons. We went everywhere we could to preach the gospel. And it was so much fun. Our team grew. We were so blessed there. We were there for 3.5 years with a full-time base. And we loved every day of it. And when we left, you might be wondering, well, why did you leave? Well, the reason why is because, and this is quite the story, one of the places we ministered at was the AIDS place where a lot of the homosexual community would come and they would gather, but they had HIV and they were susceptible to being sick and that. So they were very careful, but they went and had fellowship with one another. So we'd go and share the gospel with them. And this one night we went and it was raining. So a lot of the homosexual community was not there, because with AIDS, you become very susceptible to colds and pneumonia and that. So when it was raining, they would stay inside. And so when we got there, there was no one there except one man. And he happened to be the leader, the man who ushered in the gay rights movement into Mexico. He happened to be there that night, and he had just lost his partner. His partner died of AIDS. And so we were able to comfort him and to console him. And we preached the gospel to him. And he that was that close to receiving Jesus, but he didn't, but we had struck up a relationship with him. And you know what? The enemy did not like that. And the next day we had immigration authorities at our door. They took my passport and asked us all kinds of questions, hauled me down into the immigration office. And they said, you are proselytizing. You are preaching the gospel out on the streets to our people, and that is illegal here. You cannot do that. And we could put you in jail for that, but we're going to give you 24 hours to leave Mexico. And he had our passport and visa and everything. And we thought, wow, this is like, and you could feel the oppression. So the governor of the Baja heard what had happened to us. And we went to see him. He wanted to see us. And he said, please do not go. We have heard so many good reports about you. You have helped our people. You've helped the poor. You've brought in medicine. You've helped build houses. You have been so good to our people. We want you to stay. And what was happening there is that there was like almost like sort of like a communist party in a way that wanted control. And there was factions within the Baja of this. And I said to him, I said, if you want us to stay, you have to promise us some protection, because we have people coming in, young people even from all over Canada, the United States, and different parts of the world to serve your people. And I don't want them put in jail or hurt or harmed in any way. And he said, well, I can't help you in that way. I can't give you any special paperwork or protection, but please do not go. And I said, well, if you can't give it to us, we have to go. And he said, well, I'm going to see if I can get you some extended time. So we did get a month. We had a month to move everybody out of Mexico, and it broke my heart. I could have stayed there my whole life. But we had to go. And it was interesting. It was almost like the protective grace, because we lived in a bubble. We just worked amongst the poor. We lived in an area of town that, there was stuff going on there, but we just felt so protected and so safe. And we built relationship with the neighbors, and we just loved our life down there. It was awesome. I could have stayed there forever. So it was really sad having to leave, but all of our protection lifted. And even as we're trying to move, I had someone there's a carload of guys came by, and they literally opened the doors and tried to grab me and put me in. And the Lord kept me safe, but still it was really, really a hard situation. We could just feel the danger for that month that we were moving out. So that was our trip to Mexico. Went back to Canada. I actually took a sabbatical. I had a little bit of a burnout actually after I got back. And so, it took some time to recover from that, and then went on to other things, which I'll share with you. I'll share with you a lot of things in this next month or so. I want you to hear some stories, because God was so amazing, and there's power in testimony. But I think that a couple of lessons that I can share with you right now is, number one, all God really needs is your yes. Now, of course, you want to make sure that you're thinking through your vision. In fact, it would have been good for us to even think through some things more than what we did at the time, but also have good covering, good prayer covering, but give God your yes. Be willing to give God your yes and to fulfill his word when he invites you to go. We saw in our time in Mexico so many miracles, so many people touched. Do you know that every single day there was souls saved? Every single day there was miracles. I remember one time taking an 11-year-old boy, he was with us on outreach, door to door in the colonia, praying for the sick. And he put his little hand on the sick, and God caused him to recover. And these were from some very serious ailments. And one of them was a person who was dying, and they just raised up out of their bed and were totally healed. I mean, that was just because, yes, that little 11-year-old boy gave God his yes too. And as just when you give God your yes, great things can happen. And also have expectation. That's another lesson, is have expectation stirred in your heart for God to do great things, and know that he will honor his word, and he will honor your yes. He will honor your expectation, and you'll have such a good time going. And also in the area of provision, I've got some books and material on that, but we had to learn to trust God, because we had God plus nothing, right? And so we had to learn to trust him for our daily tortillas and everything that we needed, not only for ourselves, but to give to the poor. And as we trusted him, we found that the key was in the measure that we sow. And if we continue to sow, we would reap. And we surely did. When we left Mexico, we started there with one vehicle. with one little apartment that we all squashed into, with a little bit of one box of office supplies, one box of kitchen supplies. But when we left there, we had 3 buildings, we had 3 vehicles, we had lots of office supplies, everything that we needed, equipment, everything that we needed. It just grew, it multiplied. Just like giving God your loaves and your fish, and then he multiplies it. And we were all blessed. Every single day we were blessed. We had more than enough. So that's my little memory story for you today. All the people that we hosted over the years, they were so beautiful. We had whole teams come down from Canada and build houses for the poor, and they raised funds and gave us generators and all kinds of building supplies so that we could help the poor. It was amazing. We had so much fun. And we enjoyed everybody that we worked with. We all just squashed in together, and in those bunk beds, it was a true mission experience, and we loved every moment of it. So, anyways, I wanted to share that with you, but also I do want to give you vision for what I'm believing for right now. I am buying a house. I went and put an offer on a house yesterday, and it looks like it's going to be accepted. And we find out today, but it's almost like 100%. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home that we're hoping to put some people in it who are in transition and need help. People who don't make a lot of money, but need a comfortable, beautiful place to live in that is a safe Christian environment. And so we're buying the hope. We're calling it the House of Hope, because hope is joyful expectation of great things to come, right? So we want to put people in there that will have their expectation so great for a great life in the Lord, and who might at the time not have a lot of money for a room, but we'll be able to take 3 people in there, or maybe a family. We'll just see who God brings, but these will be people that we can help, give them a great place to stay. It'll be completely furnished with beautiful furniture is what I'm believing for. And so we started out believing for this project about a week and a half ago, I think it was. And at that time, I needed about $175,000 to add on to the 150 that I already sowed into the project. And now we only need 145,000 more. So we're already moving towards a goal. Now we close in 15 days. So there's a bit of an urgent need right now. And I would welcome your donation for anyone that would like to donate into the House of Hope, because not only do we have to buy the house, but we also have to furnish it as well. And so you can go to my website at patriciaking.com and go to the donate button there and find it. And I'm going to probably put a link up there for you, a direct link, so that you can just link to it. And it'll be easy to find. And I just want to encourage you to give into it. This is like my birthday project. And as I said earlier, I'm turning 70 in June, and I've got 40 years of ministry anniversary in the end of May. And so what I want to do is, I don't need any gifts myself. I'm so blessed. Ron and I live humbly. And so we are just happy and overflowing with everything that we need. And I don't need anything. So I said, Lord, I want to give a gift. Instead of receiving a gift, I want to give a gift to people who could use the encouragement. And I want to be a blessing. And so our ministry is going to be buying this house to just encourage people and to make their life a lot more pleasant. And so I'd love to have you sow into it. Maybe some of you could even sow like $1,000. I know that might be a lot for some. Maybe some of you could do more. Maybe some of you only have $10 or whatever, but that's fine. Any amount is wonderful. But just so that we can sow into the future and the enhancement of people's lives in this next day. So many have gone through hard times, especially with COVID. Many lost their jobs and everything. And we want to help make people's lives better for them. Our ministry is going to be covering all the utilities and everything, and looking after the house. And So we'll be able to get people in for very low rent, and be able to help them have a happy life. Okay, so go to patriciaking.com to help us out with that. And thank you so much for the way that you love people and for the way that you love the poor and those who are needing to transition into a better life, an easier life. Okay, and so we're looking forward to launching the House of Hope. Wouldn't it be great if we could have it all paid for in the 15 days? It would be so amazing. If we don't happen to reach our goal by then, we do have like a bridge loan, no interest, until my birthday, and so that's in place so that we can still get the house, and so we're looking forward to it. And then we get to go out shopping. I love shopping, and I want to buy beautiful furniture. I want to make the people that move into that house feel so special, that it'll be so full of hope, joyful expectation for a better day ahead for them. I'm excited, and I hope you are too. So God bless you. Remember again, patriciaking.com, and I'll put some more memories up here over the next couple of months, and we can rejoice together in all that God is doing. God bless.